Hanging a door doesn't have to be difficult. Before we can get to doing any door hanging, we got to do some sharpening. For the door jamb stock, I selected some dense, mature 1x8 southern pine. As I said, I bought an 8-foot and I bought a 10-foot piece. I cut 3 feet off of the 10-foot piece to go across the top of the door, and I'm left with a 7-foot piece and an 8-foot piece. What I'm going to do to the back of the jamb is cut some kerfs so that if this jamb has a tendency to cup, it will cup in favor of the operation of the door. I've got this edge guide, and this rides along the edge. Again, I'm going to make a series of pencil marks, and I'm going to do it just like Granddad used to do it. Let's flip it over and do the other side. And the same thing. It's like a razor blade, so I'm going to dull the edge of it. Notice I'm sizing my door vise. Since it's a 1 3/8 inch thick door, I'm going to use a 3.5 inch, what's called a butt hinge with a removable pin. I think I'm going to loosen these pins. Now, this door is 80 inches in height. The first hinge is located 7 inches down from the top. So I'm going to make a mark at 7 inches. My hinge goes here. Then I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to come up 11 inches, and I'm going to make a mark. And the hinge goes on this side of the mark. That's easy to remember. 7, 11. Okay, 31 inches is the center. So I'm going to go 1 3/4 of an inch this direction, and 1 3/4 of an inch this direction. Dead center. And okay, I'm going to trace around these hinge locations with a chisel. I'm going to put a little nick on the outside here so that when the router begins and ends the cut, it doesn't tear any of this veneer off of the edge of the door. Trace the outline of the hinge. It's the way Granddad used to do it. Series of cuts. And there we go. We're just going to cut the waste out. And it's not Not all that difficult. I don't have all day, so I'm going to hasten this along. So we've got 3 hinges. Now I'm just going to put 1 screw per hinge leaf in for now. There you have it. I'm going to come down roughly 7 inches. That's going to be the top of the hinge. Let's make another mark here. We're going to come in 1 1/8 of an inch. Try to position that right over my sawhorse. I have mounted 1 of the 3 hinges. All you need to do now is make a mark. I'm going to cut the channel for the head jamb to fit in. So I'm going to take a dime and I'm going to put the dime on the top of the door and I'm going to make a mark. And I know that the channel needs to go to that side. Glide along till I find the bottom one. This is 1 inch and that's 1/8. One and an eighth. There it is, right there. Just take a little bit out so that the chisel doesn't drift when I hit it. With this video. And I'm just very quickly going to remove all of the wood between these 2 scores. that's where the head jamb will situate itself, in that little provision. After I cut the other side of this jamb, I'm going to come up about 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut the waste away. All right, I'm going to come down 3/4 of an inch and 1.5, and I'm going to make a cut at both those locations. And this will be the other half of the door jamb. There we go, and this is where the head jamb fits in. So our door, as I said, is 80 inches overall height. So from the bottom of that little channel, let's go 81.5. That'll give us 1.5 inches of space, more or less, under the door. And when we get to the job site, we'll cut it off wherever we see fit. That's just a rough cut. The sum of the two channels that I cut is roughly 1/2 inch. Let's take the door, which is 28, and then we're going to add 1/2 inch for this channel. So then that means I need a piece 28.5 plus whatever gap that I want to put. I want a small gap on the hinge side and a slightly larger gap about the size of that dime again on the latch side. So let's say 28 5/8. That's what I'm going to cut my head jamb segment, and that's this at 28 5/8. Now when I put these pieces together, I'm going to have just exactly enough room for that door to situate itself in the jamb, and then I'm going to proceed to hang it.